At Haibin High School Number 2, the decisive day that will dictate the fate of every student present begins. Up in the sky, the headmasters in charge activate the imposing Profession Awakening Array. This immense flash of light signals the opening of the ceremony, striking the center of the courtyard like a pillar of energy. Watching the mystical phenomenon, the students are dazzled and full of expectations about which profession they will obtain. Among the crowd is Chen Mo, a dimensional traveler who ended up in this alternate reality. He recounts that, a century ago, the world faced a terrible calamity when monsters abruptly emerged from rifts in space. During that dark period, the human race was pushed almost to the brink of being wiped out by terrifying beasts. Fortunately, the arrival of the awakening system granted humans the abilities to battle and confine these creatures in dungeons. Thus, civilization completely transformed, raising the most powerful warriors to the top of the social hierarchy. Aware of the brutality of this new world, the MC has trained relentlessly for the past 3 years to be perfectly prepared. Now, coming of age, he will finally undergo the rite that will chart the course of his entire life. The head of the school officially declares the ceremony open and calls the first groups to the stage. The first student to be evaluated only manages a mundane 1-star class, becoming a disappointed gardener. On the other hand, another boy celebrates with relief as he emerges as a 3-star berserker, securing a battle trade and an honorable future. At that moment, a boy who obtained the werewolf class clings to his friend in tears, begging not to be abandoned and creating an awkward situation in the courtyard. The headmaster quickly orders them to let go of the hysterical boy, emphasizing that a person's potential is measured by their number of stars. Venting in tears, the young man laments that his dedication was in vain, as surviving in the dungeons with such a tiny rating is almost impossible. Soon after, all eyes turn to Shen Bingbing, the best student in the class, who confidently steps toward the center of the array. The moment she steps into the circle, a divine and blinding glow radiates, leaving everyone in awe. The young woman reaches the supreme grade by awakening as a 5-star ice mage, demonstrating a formidable gift. On stage, the principal cannot contain his excitement, as it has been 2 years since the school revealed someone with such high offensive power. Among the spectators, the other students feel deep envy of the incredible luck she received from the divine blessing. Laughing, a student praises her triumph, knowing that the biggest guilds will fiercely compete to recruit her. Beside the MC, his buddy roots for him to achieve an equivalent performance, putting faith in his history of perfect grades. Immediately, a bully mocks the comment, claiming that 5-star classes are way too rare and that Chen Mo is just a delusional dreamer. The bickering is interrupted when the master simultaneously summons Chen Mo and Yan Yingyu, the institution's greatest prodigies, to the stage. As they walk, Yingyu wishes her longtime rival luck, hoping he gets the class he wants so much. He returns the wish with serenity, briefly noticing the bandages on the girl's hands, evidence of the rigorous training she has gone through. Both enter the awakening areas at the same time, under the close observation of the entire institution. The mystical power surrounds the young man. However, the outcome frustrates everyone when he only acquires the skeleton mage class at a measly 2 stars. The school manager blinks, surprised and in disbelief at such a mediocre performance from his most talented student. In the audience, the students whisper, speculating if the awakening machine had some sort of defect. The collective disappointment is broken by a young man who points to the sky in panic, telling everyone to look. The school's sky is covered by black clouds and lightning in a highly rare global event, which obviously did not come from the MC's 2-star class. The sacred light focuses entirely on Yan Yinju, healing the wounds on her hands in the blink of an eye. In front of the crowd, the girl receives the blessing as a 5-star holy priestess. While everyone's attention is focused on her light show, the MC feels a strong tug in his own consciousness. A system message alerts him about the detection of a deep anomaly in his soul. Because he possesses 2 combined souls from different dimensions, the laws of that world grant him a new power. Secretly, an aura covers him, granting him the hidden class of Infinite Synthesizer, ranked at the supreme divine level of 5 stars. The attribute screen warns that this secondary profession will remain unnoticeable to others unless he chooses to reveal himself. Before he can process such luck, a sinister, purplish rift tears through the airspace of the ceremony. From the portal emerges a mysterious intruder, revealing himself as a human dedicated to hunting down new talents. The criminal advances with fierce hostile intent, wanting to take down the priestess before she becomes a threat in the future. Catching the school's security completely off guard, an immense shadowy claw is launched in a swift and devastating strike. At first, Chen Mo thinks he has been discovered, but soon notices that the attack is headed straight for his classmate. Acting immediately, the principal raises the great magical defense barrier to contain the disaster. The school's protection fires enormous wind blades, repelling the attacker with heavy impact. Suffering from the pain of the counterattack, the criminal realizes that he has lost his single chance to strike the girl by surprise. Frustrated and hurt, he quickly retreats into the dark portal and flees before being captured by the teachers. With the situation under control, the supervisors ask the students to stay calm, assuring them that it was just an isolated incident, and that no one else will get hurt. The principal approaches Chen Mo to console the boy, asking him not to be discouraged by the low result and highlighting that he will still do great things in the future. Without losing his usual coolness, the MC simply thanks him for the concern and says he will go home early. As he walks away, the class bully teases him again, calling the former genius a washed-up stray for getting such a trashy profession. The troublemaker's partner pulls his arm, asking him to keep his voice down, warning that the skeleton fighter is still strong enough to teach them a lesson right there. Ignoring the envy of others, Chenmo keeps walking with his hands in his pockets, focused exclusively on his new life. The rowdy guy gets irritated by the silence and yells exaggerated threats behind his back, wanting to force a conflict. Arriving at his small apartment at the end of the day, the young man finally gets the ideal privacy to understand the powers he has acquired. He opens the panel for his first class and notices that summoning skeletons drains a lot of energy, besides the creatures not lasting very long in battle. Despite finding the cost-benefit ratio horrible, he decides to test the skill immediately just to see the monster's appearance. The purple magic circle lights up the bedroom floor and a basic skeleton rises, looking like a fragile and highly generic soldier. The MC calls the creature closer, ordering it to take a stance for a practical combat test. Without any ceremony, he lands a direct punch on his own minion to evaluate its durability. The creature falls apart right away from the impact, scattering bones across the room without being able to withstand a simple attack. Watching that useless soldier turn to dust, he agrees with the whole world that the basic summoning class is really disposable. But soon his focus shifts to the details of his hidden divine class, which has the unique passive of fusing materials of equal quality to create something better. Excited about the chance to bypass the weakness of his initial profession, he channels energy and summons 3 identical skeletons simultaneously. The system immediately recognizes the 3 low-level monsters and asks if the owner wishes to proceed with the enhancement synthesis, promising total success. As soon as he confirms the order, the 3 minions disintegrate into a spiral of energy and floating skulls in the middle of the room. 3 final evolution options appear in blue text boxes, and the young man decides to go down the path of pure raw strength increase. A bulky silhouette tears through the magic circle, cutting the air with a completely different presence than those previous versions. Now, a gigantic and terrifying butcher skeleton stares at its master with red eyes, resembling a true battle machine. Knowing that the beast's size doesn't prove anything, Chenmo frowns and prepares one more test punch. He hits the new minion with the same intensity as before. However, this time the monster raises its arm and blocks the strike without the slightest difficulty. The density of the defense is so great that the shock knocks the MC himself away, allowing him to feel the absurd power of his secret class. Startled by the deafening noise that just happened there, the neighbor knocks loudly on the apartment door to complain. Recovering from the scare, Chenmo realizes that the strength of that newly created creature easily equals a 3-star level. Looking at the system screen, he understands that his divine class allows him to perform these fusions without any limits. Having 2 professions operating in the same body, the young man imagines that he can assemble an entire army of powerful skeletons right off the bat. But he quickly decides that he must keep this absurd power hidden, as such a giant creature would draw too much attention. He immediately cancels the spell, knowing that showing off his talent after an invader attack would be asking for trouble. The creature quickly dissolves in a purple flame and disappears from the room. With that, he clenches his fist and focuses all his attention on his next step. The MC decides that he needs to get much stronger in secret, until he reaches the top without others noticing. Only by conquering absolute power will he be able to protect himself from any threats coming from other worlds. To make up for the flaws of his initial class, he plans to learn new skills and acquire good gear. The problem, however, is that power requires money, and currently he is completely broke to buy anything. Suddenly, his phone buzzes, reminding him that the novice dungeon test the next day is his only chance to get rewards. Grabbing the device, he gets hyped seeing that the Alliance's 50,000 coin scholarship just hit his account. Even though it's a lot of cash for regular folks, he knows that magic items in this world cost an absolute fortune. Analyzing the price chart, he notes that earnings are dictated by the class level, proving that strength and money go hand in hand. The rarest warriors receive fortunes and top-tier gear, allowing them to defeat dungeon bosses with ease. Meanwhile, those who awaken with low classes suffer with bad items, falling into a terrible cycle of poverty and hardship in battles. Over time, the gap gets so wide that the weakest end up becoming just cannon fodder in the most perilous fight. However, being a synthesizer, the guy realizes he can buy scrapped items for dirt cheap and fuse them until they become relics. Pumped by the idea of getting rich, he hurries to put on his jacket and tells himself he can't waste any time. As soon as he opens the front door, he ends up face to face with his foster sister. Liu Yi gets a huge scare looking inside the apartment and witnessing the ruined state of the wall. Feeling awkward, the boy apologizes and explains that he went overboard testing his skills, but guarantees he will pay for the repairs with the scholarship. She sighs in relief and mentions she was worried about his low class, but that damage proves he is pretty strong. The girl then hands him a bank card, instructing him to use those saved coins to buy good items before the test. Holding the card, the MC gets emotional, knowing that she worked hard to save that money and handed it over without a second thought. Since their parents passed away, the young woman has always raised him with all the care in the world, giving up her own youth in the process. Walking through the city streets, he renews his promise to reach the absolute top to give his sister the life of a queen. He soon arrives at the clearance street, a crowded market full of street vendors where he plans to buy cheap backpacks and magic books. Standing in front of a stall, he analyzes old staffs and decides to focus on summoning more minions at once to save energy. Back in his room, the guy throws all the junk he bought onto the bed, ready to use his hidden class. He selects the basic spatial bags and initiates the fusion magic to see the result of the creation. The system advises that the procedure was a success and offers 3 enhancement paths for the new backpack. Focused on immediate utility, he discards durability and decides to expand the storage by 10 times. Holding the improved item, the young man laments the fact that bound gear cannot be sold. Otherwise, he'd be rich in an instant. The backpack glows, confirming the bond with its owner. Without losing a beat, he picks up the summoning skill books to perform the next upgrade. The synthesis light shines once again, and the panel displays 3 new evolution routes for his bone soldiers. Satisfied, he notes that the summon limit has increased and the spell leveled up, already mapping out the plan to reach rank D. Analyzing the first choice, the system shows a group of undead focused on stealth, but he quickly rejects the option, understanding that ambush tactics won't improve his direct combat power. The second alternative offers venomous minions, capable of stacking slow toxins on enemies. The third option, on the other hand, allows the skeletons to explode, generating a high damage shockwave in the surrounding area. Weighing the options, he concludes that the toxin would be useful against bosses, but the explosion is perfect for clearing out entire mobs. Being a beginner, he knows he'll rarely stumble upon a big boss, so focusing on blowing up regular monsters is the best tactic. With a click on the panel, he officially acquires the magic tome of exploding corpses. The guy smiles, noting that the mana cost stayed the same, but now he can summon 5 monsters simultaneously. Determined to squeeze the most out of this power, he repeats the fusion process several times, keeping the explosive base. The effort pays off when he finally obtains a rank D book, unlocking the chance to combine a second skill. It becomes clear that high-level spells are insane, since the monster's stats now scale according to his intelligence. Evaluating the new bonus attribute options, he thinks about which combo will do the most damage in the dungeons. Without hesitating much, he selects the resurrection power for his soldiers. In his view, the strategy is flawless, as the skeletons will explode and come back to life right after, doubling the damage dealt. Envisioning the mass destruction he will cause, he gets hyped and keeps investing in upgrading the spell. Upon reaching rank C, he attaches the poison passive, and right at rank B, he adds the stealth attribute, shaping the ultimate army. The system delivers the powerful final grimoire, capable of summoning 500 undead with all these stacked advantages. He even tries to push further, but the evolution to rank A requires a highly expensive elemental stone that doesn't fit his current budget. Satisfied with the current evolution cap, the MC absorbs the book's magic and leaves the other upgrades for after the exam. Surrounded by a purple energy, he realizes that his combat power already rivals that of a level 30 veteran hunter. The next morning, the school bus heads down the road. While the guy is convinced he's going to embarrass the competition in the test, the vehicle crosses the mountains toward the dungeon, the setting for the exam that will determine admission into a good college. Standing in the aisle, teacher Su Tiangson warns the students that the location's difficulty will be higher than expected and urges caution. One of the kids laughs at the situation, telling her to chill, since even if something goes wrong, her healing magic saves everyone. With her staff in hand, the woman shuts down the joke, revealing that her resurrection skill can only be used once a month. She reinforces the warning, telling the students to take the test seriously, since no one there has the ability to hold off the beasts head-on. Riding the momentum, a cocky student provokes Chen Mo, saying that acting as a meat shield is still better than being a mediocre sorcerer. The MC simply rests his face on his hand, choosing to stay quiet so as not to freak his classmates out with his real power level. Discreetly, he evaluates the teacher's staff and discovers that it's a rank D weapon that shares life. Even though he finds the mentor very kind, he notices that her item is pretty modest for the rank she holds. The teacher notices the teasing at the back of the transport and orders the troublemaker to be quiet and stop bothering his peers. Abruptly, the bus brakes hard in front of a barricade, leading the woman to ask the reason for stopping so far from the entrance. A guard outside warns that the passage is blocked due to a level 30 wanted criminal who is hiding in the woods. Hearing the explanation, Chen Mo widens his eyes slightly, amazed by the presence of a highly dangerous fugitive in the area. From the system's perspective, these criminals are lucrative targets, because taking them down grants double experience to the executioners. The MC calculates mentally that defeating a level 30 criminal will yield a shower of experience, which will make his own level skyrocket. Calmly, Su Tiangson tells the students to wait in the vehicle, informing them that the principal has already called for backup and that everything will be resolved quickly. Hiding in the middle of the dark forest, the criminal curses his bad luck for bumping into experienced teachers, knowing he must find an escape route fast. One of the students hastily raises his hand, asking to go to the bathroom nearby. The mentor allows him to step out, demanding he be careful not to go too far, and Chen Mo takes the chance, saying he will tag along too. Away from the bus, the guy assesses the dense forest cover, deducing that the enclosed environment is perfect for acting unnoticed. Without delay, he channels his mana and silently conjures his army of stealthy undead. A troop of hood-covered skeletons sprouts from the shadows, surrounding their master, waiting for the first command. With a swift nod, he orders the creatures to spread out across the entire extent of the woods. The directive given to the soldiers is to locate the intruder, drain the target's energy to the max, and drag him back to that spot. The vast wooded area perfectly conceals the veiled pursuit that has just begun. Near the vehicles, The school principal talks with the teacher, tweaking the details of the initial capture plan. At this moment, the young hunter receives a telepathic alert, surprised by how fast his troops found their prey. Fleeing desperately through the trunks, the fugitive yells in panic at that endless mob of relentless beasts on his tail. He tries to slash the pursuers with his dagger, annoyed that he can't shake off those persistent creatures. Watching the aggressors despair from afar, the boy sends a telepathic command ordering his summons to fall back, landing roughly on the ground. The fugitive notes that he is cornered and that the search party is arriving way too fast. Seizing a moment of carelessness, he grabs the MC from behind and puts the knife to the kid's neck, who is surprised by the bad guy's absurd speed. The manager and the mentor arrive at the exact spot, being met by the kidnapper's shouts ordering them to stop, which makes Su Tiangxin desperate to see her student threatened. Pressing the blade, the criminal threatens to finish the boy off if anyone moves, reminding everyone that attacks from criminals cancel out resurrection spells. He demands a vehicle right away to escape, forcing the principal to back off and order the team to retreat for safety. Enraged by the situation, the school leader mutters about the student's stupidity. Regretting having to let the target slip away, being held hostage, the guy keeps his cool because he knows the teacher has the artifact to keep him alive. Despite having his monsters ready to strike in the shadows, he chooses not to reveal his divine class, waiting for the perfect moment to deliver the final strike during the confusion. Then, he notices that the principal is gathering fire in his hands. Hidden, reading that as a discreet warning that the counterattack is about to start, the principal holds the spell frustrated, hesitating to fire for fear of hurting the student. Noticing the leader's hesitation, the kidnapper laughs in their faces, fully aware that their fear of collateral damage is his biggest advantage. Sick of waiting, the MC decides to force the teacher's reaction and starts thrashing violently to break the stalemate. The thug is infuriated by the rebellion and tells the kid to hold still, creating the exact opening the veterans needed. Immediately, the manager attacks with full force, firing a massive wind blade at the two of them. Su Tiangxin conjures a sacred shield around her student in the blink of an eye, while parallelly casting a slow spell on the captor. The synchronized attacks from the two teachers violently cross the air, scoring a direct hit on the position where the aggressor was. Shielding himself from the impact, the criminal curses the life-sharing staff that ruined his plans. The brutal force of the attack sweeps the surrounding scenery, raising a dense cloud of energy. A massive explosion of flames consumes the area, making the teacher scream to warn the principal not to get near the dangerous fire. Coughing heavily and wounded, the criminal withstands the bombardment thanks to his high stats, letting out a sadistic laugh thinking he took the kid out too. Scanning the surroundings through the suit, he is left clueless by the sudden disappearance of the victim's body. Suddenly, the stealthy skeletons emerge from the dirt and pin his arms and legs with extreme violence. The thug panics upon being restrained, noting that he has only a fraction of energy left and believing that the kid survived by sheer luck. Standing a few meters away, the young man watches the system notification validate the trap's effectiveness, leaving the invader in complete shock. Disturbed, the fugitive questions how this happened, since he was certain he delivered the blow before the protection arrived. Assuming the pain was redirected, he tries to figure out how a simple newbie masters such advanced skills, but only hears the guy reply coldly that nothing is impossible. Obeying the master's absolute command, the bone soldiers start radiating light, charging up the explosion spell. A devastating purple blast sweeps away the remnants of the thug, startling the rescue squad who wonders what caused that damage. The manager deduces that the criminal used self-detonation out of desperation and mourns the sad loss of the boy, until he spots a figure walking out of the smoke. Spitting out a bit of soot, the kid appears unharmed in the center of the clearing, leading the principal to celebrate his survival. The mentor runs over relieved to hug him, while he keeps up the act by thanking her for the shield that supposedly saved his life. Staring blankly, the school leader reads a system notice congratulating the boy for reaching level 5 and earning a rare title, getting confused by the information. The screen explains that the executioner title grants massive bonuses to the user's base stats. Satisfied and with his arms crossed, the young hunter enjoys the level up he gained without any effort. The principal regains his strict posture and scolds the guy for being so reckless, emphasizing that he survived by a pure miracle. A second veteran on the team stares at the interface impressed, finding it hard to believe the newbie's absurd evolution leap. Faking humility, the guy explains that he absorbed the fallen criminal's energy, making the teachers joke that they wished they had been kidnapped instead of him. The conversation is cut short when a glowing dimensional crack appears in the middle of the camp, grabbing the attention of everyone present. The head of the school explains that that portal is the limit trial, suggesting that the boy choose the easiest level so as not to take risks fighting without training. Anxious, the instructor warns that they will be on standby outside to heal him, advising him not to play hero in there. The MC confidently walks through the beam of light, ignoring the murmurs of a bitter classmate who is betting on his downfall. Once inside the mystical space, an intimidating interface pops up showing the exam rules and the rewards based on the selected difficulty. The portal's intelligence lists the danger alternatives, warning that selecting high levels is extremely punishing for the newly awakened. Measuring his actual power, he assesses that his hidden fusions guarantee a massive advantage, choosing to face the medium level just in case. The system shows that the mission requires taking down an elite monster in 1 hour, a challenge that would normally demand a whole group of veterans. Suddenly, a red alert flashes in his vision, detecting the dual class anomaly and automatically readjusting the exam to absolute difficulty. The grim timer jumps to 24 hours, ordering the defeat of a divine, ranked lord, which leaves the boy completely shocked by the readjustment. Staring fixedly at the terrifying statue at the end of the hallway, he feels a chill as he realizes that the universe itself is trying to erase him from existence.